my stupid friend Tom, my truck ma has a cold. She's still staying at my house, so only the dependent guy like me has to take care of her. With a disdainful expression, I gave her a vitamin C pill. She frowned. What are you giving me to eat? I said softly, Shen Duok. That night, she crawled into bed, feeling hot. Kohan, I'm so uncomfortable. Is the medicine about to take effect? Or not? Lu Like Yen is on holiday, staying at my house, and by the way, she's tutoring me. She looks very pretty, but unfortunately lives quite haphazardly. I'm the type who doesn't know how to do anything other than studying. At this time, she just lay on my bed and refused to leave. Kohan, the instant noodles you cooked for me. Is it expired this afternoon? I feel very uncomfortable. I was calculating the final math problem, not bothering to pay attention to her. After the expiration date, it's not like you haven't eaten anything yet, don't worry. No one dies. After 2 minutes of silence, there was another groan. Kohan, I'm uncomfortable. I got up angrily and grabbed her collar. You better be really upset. Reached out and touched her, feeling a little hot. My mother said that recently the number of people in the hospital with colds and fevers has increased dramatically, and Lu Like Yen must have also been affected. Then I found a thermometer, took antiseptic alcohol and clamped it under her armpit. Don't move. She obediently raised her hand, and when the thermometer was put in, she used her hand. It's too cold. Lu Like Yen is sick, her voice is both sleepy and hoarse, giving her goosebumps. 5 minutes later, Lu Nuyen, your fever is 39 degrees. She blinked, her voice was hoarse. Are instant noodles poisonous? I was too lazy to argue with her, took out fever-reducing medicine and vitamin C from the medicine box, and got up to take the medicine. She closed her eyes and pretended to be dead, her long eyelashes trembling slightly. From childhood to adulthood, this person would rather get an injection than take medicine. I patiently coaxed, Lu Nuyen, you should take the medicine first, it's not worth it. She opened her eyes and stared at me, the words unbelief written on her face. My patience is limited. I raised my fist. Don't force me to do anything. Lu Nuyen leaned against the bed, held my hand, and looked willing to swallow the medicine. Because of the fever, her hot lips touched my palm. I wanted to pull my hand back, but her hot hand held my wrist tightly. The next second, Lu Nuyen hugged her neck and coughed, her face red. Kohan, what did you give me to drink? It tastes strange. I was stunned speechless. The vitamin C pill was so big that she barely swallowed it. I was both angry and amused, and said lightly, Shen Duok. After Lu Like Yen took the medicine, she fell asleep. After finishing my homework, I took her temperature again, 38.9 degrees, and still no fever. Fortunately, my mother is the head of the nursing department and takes care of patients, so I also know a little. I took off her outer clothes and wiped her body with warm water. Willow skin like Yen is very white, clearly pale due to lack of sunlight, smooth skin. The towel gently wiped it away, leaving a red mark on Liu's collarbone like Yen. Lu Nuyen groaned softly, her hoarse voice calling my name, Kohan, it's really against the rules. I used a stronger hand and wiped her face roughly. Luckily, I don't like this stupid girl anymore. She and I have known each other since we were 3 years old. She is Mrs. Liu's adopted child, I am my mother's adopted child. We grew up together all our childhood. In high school, every day she came to the classroom door to wait for me to finish school, and was rumored by my friends to be the class beauty. Lu Like Yen is pursuing Kohan. As a teenager, I almost thought I liked her. After trying to probe and discovering that her mind was only focused on studying, I immediately extinguished that small bit of affection. At 2 a.m., Lu and Yen's temperature finally dropped. I was so sleepy, I called her up to drink some water and told her to roll back to her room. As soon as she left, I immediately fell asleep, half awake. I felt hot breath blowing in my ear, and I immediately got goosebumps. By reflex, I punched out, only to hear a cry of pain. Lu Laikyan held her head and fell down next to me. It hurts so much. I was still panicking when Lu Nuyen put her hands on my chest, her whole body close. Kohan, I'm so uncomfortable. Is the medicine about to kick in? Before I could react, I pushed away the head that was rubbing against my shoulder. What happened? You gave me Shen Duok and I got hot, cold, very uncomfortable. I threw her aside and rolled up the blanket. Is your brain on fire? Where did I get Shen Duok? You believe everything. Lu Laikyan's eyes were blank for a moment, her face was red, her lips were white. Suddenly I was not awake, kept calling my name. I have never seen Lu Laikyan so sick. Remembering some news on the internet about people having high fevers and being in a coma who couldn't survive, he started to panic. You lie still, I'll call your mother. I called 4 or 5 times, but my mother didn't pick up. Hesitating for a minute, I called 120 and got in the ambulance. Lu Nuyen held my hand tightly. Kohan, will you die? No, Kohan, will you always be with me? Yeah. Kohan, I still have a lot of things I haven't told you. Shut up. On the hospital bed, Lu Laikyan's face was pale, her eyebrows were furrowed, and she seemed to be having trouble sleeping. My mother came to the hospital room to take a look and told me to take good care of Lu and Yen. Angry all night, my eyes were bloodshot. Looking at Lu as Yen finished passing the water and pulled out the needle, I collapsed next to the bed. She fell asleep dozing. I felt someone covering me with a blanket. I thought it was my mother, so I didn't bother to open my eyes. But the next second, a warm finger brushed my face and quickly left. The next day, I was woken up by Lu Laikyan. As soon as I opened my eyes, she started torturing me. Looking at me with pitiful eyes, Kohan, I'm thirsty. I picked up the thermos cup on the table and gave it to her, but she didn't accept it. My hand was stuck within 4 needle. It was so painful, I had no choice but to hold the cup up for her to drink. Kohan, I want to eat an apple. I silently chanted, she's a patient, I can't hit her. Immediately choose the reddest apple and peel it for her to eat. She very consciously opened her mouth. Kohan, feed me. I got angry and pushed the whole apple into her mouth. Lu Laikyan, don't be an elephant asking for tribute. Once the shock and fever are over, don't pretend anymore. I have an appointment today, something important. Please lie here obediently and sleep, I'll come back in the afternoon. She quickly took out the apple. Where are you going? I want to go too. Well, from top to bottom, I'm going on a date. Do you want to go too? Lu Nuyen's eyes wavered slightly. Who are you going on a date with, male or female? The principal introduced me to a student in the Chinese language department. We've been talking for a while now. She came here today to visit and arranged to meet me. In this type of case, of course I cannot bring Lu Laikyan with me. Of course it's female, you idiot. Obediently lie down and rest. In the afternoon, I stayed at the hospital overnight. I plan to go home and take a shower before going on a date. Unexpectedly, as soon as I stood up, she pulled my shirt. Han, I'm so uncomfortable, I can't breathe. Can you call the doctor to come check it out for me? I looked at the clock, there was still time. I immediately went to call my mother, intending to tell her about Lu and Yen's many gossips. Who would have thought that she was an evil fairy who accused her, eating cable and screaming at the same time? As soon as I saw my mother, I immediately got excited. Auntie, Miss Han said he went out on a date with a strange girl. I glared. My mother turned her head, her eyes sharp as knives. Ko-han, your liver has grown bigger. As a result, my mother forced me to watch her every step of the way. That whole day, I didn't give Lu Waryen any good looks. After administering the last bottle of water, I picked up a few more boxes of medicine. Lu Likyan obediently followed me home. Ko-han, when you go on a date, I don't want to pay attention to her. Looking out the window, pretending not to hear. Can you take me with you on a date? I'll make sure not to talk nonsense. As soon as she finished speaking, she started coughing non-stop. After saying a few words, he coughed. As soon as I told her not to take her, she immediately coughed, her whole body cowering as if I didn't agree, she could cough until she fainted at any moment. The taxi driver quietly put on his mask. I twitched the corners of my eyes and gritted my teeth. Lu is like Yen, now even if you die of thirst, I won't take you anywhere. She tilted her head back, gradually recovering. Looking at the side of his face, looking at the red corners of his eyes, a clear tear stood at the corner of his eyelashes, waiting to fall. She said angrily, "Oh, that's okay then." I took Lu and Yen home and told her to take her medicine on time. She replied sullenly and curled up on the sofa. She looked so pitiful like that. I walked to the door, then turned back and patted her shoulder. "Hey Lu Likyan, I'll be home soon. Whatever you want to eat, I'll buy it for you. Or you can order food from outside." Lu Likyan covered her head with a bear-shaped nightgown, revealing only her chin and the curve of her lips. Can stab people to death. She pursed her lips and didn't know who made her angry anymore. That's why I was so nervous on my first date with my sister. When I got home, the house was dark. I turned on the light and saw Lu and Yen still maintaining that position. The medicine box on the table remained untouched. I frowned, walked over and patted her. "Why haven't you taken your medicine yet?" She raised her hand to block the light and replied lazily. "Why are you home so late?" "Late? Why is it only 8 o'clock? I had dinner out." I opened the medicine box and poured a cup of warm water. Lu Nguyen sat up, leaned against the sofa, and asked with an expressionless face, "What to eat?" I almost frowned. Why did she start caring about these trivial things? "Just eat, take your medicine quickly, otherwise you'll have a fever tonight." "I don't care about you." Lu Nguyen coughed twice, her voice hoarse, and asked, "You were out for 3.5 hours, and you didn't even call or ask me if I had eaten in the middle?" I gasped, suddenly feeling a bit funny. Observing Lu and Yen for a while, she was blaming me for not caring about her. Why is the patient's mood so difficult to understand? I had to comply with her wishes. "Okay. So have you eaten yet?" "Not yet." "Why don't you eat?" "You're not here, there's no reason. There's still a lot left when I'm not here, so why don't you eat at all?" Seeing that she was still sick, I couldn't bear it. "So what do you want to eat?" "I'll order you some food." Lu Nguyen suddenly snorted. "She can go out to eat with you, but I only deserve to eat outside food?" I looked serious. "Lu Nguyen, don't let the water get to you. Hurry up and take your medicine." Seeing me starting to get angry, Lu Likyan turned away. The 2 pills kept moving back and forth in her hand, refusing to put them in her mouth. "Now you're so cruel to me, you even force me to take medicine on an empty stomach. All year long, I only have these few days off to see you. I just want you to eat with me." Liu's voice, like Yen's after a fever, was a bit hoarse, carrying a hint of resentment that was hard to detect. Listening makes me feel soft. Okay. I'll take you out to eat." At 9 p.m., Lu Like Yen was sipping soup in a private restaurant. I sat across from her, drinking juice. She gave me a piece of fish. "Ahan, you should eat too." "I already ate." Seeing her resentful eyes, I had to say, okay, I'll eat." I closed my eyes and took another bite. At this time, my phone rang and she asked if I was home yet. I bowed my head and texted her to let her know that I had returned home a long time ago. Just as she was about to complain about having to take a whiny, sick girl out to eat, Lu Yen picked up another chopstick of food and gently said, "Don't look at your phone when you're eating." Luckily, Lu Like Yen didn't complain anymore. After returning home, obediently take the medicine. She blinked at me. "Kohan, this time you didn't praise me." "Lu Like Yen, you're quite good." One leg behind the head. She slowly let go, holding my sleeve. The corners of his eyes also drooped, his voice bored, "Oh, then I'll go take a shower first. Today, Lu Like Yen keeps making me feel uncomfortable." As soon as she left, I immediately lay down on the sofa, playing games. In the middle of staring, the student sent a funny video. I was laughing so hard, then suddenly I heard a cold voice from behind, "Are you having fun with her?" When I turned around and saw Lu Like Yen, I was even more startled. She had just finished showering and was wearing pink pajamas. The collar is loose, an open button above the collarbone is visible. Her long hair was wet. Suddenly I felt like I was back in high school, seeing her girlish appearance. My ears felt hot. I quickly turned away and stood up. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "Well, after you shower, it's my turn." Who would have thought that Lu Like Yen would grab my hand, her sparkling eyes looking at me full of resentment? I saw it all. "You texted her while eating, playing games and texting her too. Do you like her very much?" Lu Yen asked, making me speechless. Studying is quite funny, but saying I like it is not really true. Just as I was about to open my mouth to explain, Lu Yen angrily pushed me down on the sofa and sat on top of me. My heart rate suddenly increased rapidly. "Lu Like Yen, you used my shower gel again?" She ignored my words, staring at my collar. "Kohan, am I hiding it too well? You don't seem to see that I like you." "Like whatever you like, quickly put on your clothes, even if you're shirtless or naked. I have no interest in you." Liu's face was as pale as Yen's. "Kohan, do you hate me that much?" I pushed her away. "Who hates you? I'm simply not interested in your body." She doesn't like to sweat, so she doesn't like to exercise. The figure is also quite good. I browsed through a few saved videos and showed them to her. "See, there's this girl. This girl too. Now just having a face isn't enough." Lu Yen stared at my phone, her eyes sharp. "Does that sister have a body like that? I haven't seen her, so I don't know what her body is like. Go to sleep quickly." But Lu Like Yen grabbed my wrist. "If I had a body like that, could you delete her number and be with me?" I was stunned and quickly ran back to the room, not knowing that Lu Yen had been sitting on the sofa for a long time while taking a shower. I started thinking endlessly. I remember back in high school, when I confessed my love to Lu Like Yen, she was stunned and poked my chest with her hand, telling me to study well and not think about silly things. I was sad all night and then started to think of her as a friend. After going to college, we studied in 2 different cities. She seemed unhappy, but what reason did I have to study in the same city as her? I forgot about the past and calmly said, "There's no need to stay together forever, sooner or later we will break up." Lu Yen's face was cold and she said nothing. She seemed dissatisfied with my answer, but tonight she said she liked me. I felt confused. The next day, I woke up and Lu Yen were nowhere to be seen. When calling, she doesn't have her phone with her. I thought, She doesn't like going out alone, so where could she go? I called my mother to ask. She said Lu and Yen got up early to go jogging. Isn't it good for her to exercise? That's true, but Lu like Yen hates exercise. Furthermore, her fever has just gone away and she's still coughing, so how can she exercise vigorously? Unexpectedly, my mother said, "Don't worry, he can run 300 meters. That's right, I feel secure lying on the sofa, watching TV. A while later, Lu like Yen returned. She was wearing a white hoodie, her white face was pink from exercise, and her body was still a bit hot. He glanced at me, then didn't say anything and ran straight to the bathroom to take a shower. I thought she was just temporarily excited and would quickly give up, but on the remaining days off, she exercised every day. My mother also bought her an exercise tracking bracelet to encourage her. That night, Lu like Yen was in my room studying with me. Suddenly she called out to me, "Kohan, I feel like my thighs are a bit fat, please try touching them." My hand shook, I got the answer wrong, turned my head and looked at her in surprise. Lu Nuyen looked innocent and was about to pull up her pants leg. "That's it. Lu like Yen, you're enough." Lu Nuyen put down her hand, looking disappointed. "That's all," but after being silent for a while, she said again, "When I go back to school, I will sign up for the gym, waist training, leg training, butt training, persistently check in every day, and send it to you to see." I replied quickly, "Yes. Kohan, if I can do it, can I ask for a small reward?" I was no longer in the mood to study, put down my pen, turned to ask her, "Okay, what reward do you want?" She smiled at me, "Forget your arithmetic, be my boyfriend." Why? Because she definitely doesn't like you as much as I do. Lately, Lu like Yen keeps saying she likes me, and her eyes look at me more and more passionately. I suddenly agreed, "Okay, so what if you can't do it?" Lu Nuyen was stunned for a moment then smiled seductively at me, "If you can't do it, I'll listen to whatever you say." Near the end of the vacation, Lu like Yen bought a train ticket to return home. "Kohan, will you see me off tomorrow?" I looked at her in surprise. In the past, whether she returned home or returned to school, she never asked me to see her off. Now it's okay again. Looking back and forth, I firmly refused. "You don't know the way, I don't want to go." Lu like Yen was not angry when she was rejected, just calmly, "Oh, 1 hour. I know you're busy." Hearing that, my mother immediately put down her chopsticks and asked me, "Kohan, what are you busy with? Are you planning to meet some strange girl? I'm telling you, don't complain if you get tricked in the future." She was talking about how I planned to go see her last time, but I had stopped contacting her for a long time, but Lu and Yen didn't know. I felt a bit strange, I couldn't think of any reason for the moment. Lu Nuyen immediately helped me answer, "Auntie, Kohan is studying for her master's exam. She really doesn't have time." "It's okay. I'm just asking. I haven't been back in a while. Now that I have to go back, I feel a bit nostalgic for everyone." A person has never been a spoiled person, but once he is a spoiled person, his strength cannot be underestimated. My mother looked at Lu like Yen in disbelief. "It's okay, I'll take leave to take you home." Lu Nuyen quickly put down the bowl. "No need, Aunt, I can go home by myself. I promised my grandmother, I will take good care of me. Don't be polite to me, Tu Yen, I treat you like my own daughter. Normally, when you're busy, don't come home anymore. Every time you come home, you take care of all the housework. That kid Kohan is about to be beaten by you. It's a bad afternoon, I'm not satisfied." The child also cooked rice, but my mother stopped by and nodded. Yes, the stewed beef noodles and pickled noodles are all cooked by me. I even fed Lillian so much that I almost thought I was getting poisoned. Lu Nuyen quickly explained, "Auntie, I'm exercising hard, just persevere, then talk." Lu Nuyen looked at me and smiled. "Kohan promised you that if you met his requirements for exercise, he would be your boyfriend." My mother was so scared that she dropped her chopsticks. She said something that made my mother cling to me and ask if it was true. I impatiently replied, "That's not certain yet. The fact that I am Qin Shi Huang is more reliable than the fact that she persistently works out at the gym. It can't be said that Tuyen is a person with an opinion. Whatever he decides to do, he will definitely do it." Since childhood, my mother has praised Lu Wenyan for being smart and obedient. She didn't compare me with her, but just often said to Mrs. Lu, if only they grew up to be as obedient as they were, we would have less to worry about. Mrs. Lu had no children, so she was over 50 years old when she adopted Lu as Yen. Her health was weak, so Lu like Yen knew how to cook and do housework from a young age. My mother got divorced and cut off contact with her family. Yen and Lu and I grew up together. She almost had no friends besides me. But she is much better than me. The school's annual scholarships are all for her. During the summer and winter holidays, she was also busy making money, wanting to give Ms. Lu a better life. But Ms. Lu still couldn't wait for the winter of her first year of college. Ms. Lu was hit by a car while selling breakfast. When she was taken to the hospital, she was in a coma. At that time, Lu and Yan and I were both far away, with only my mother by my side. Lu Nuyen immediately returned home that night when she received the news, but still did not have time to see her one last time. I still remember Lu like Yan that day, her eyes red from the cold wind, but not a single tear shed. She calmly arranged the funeral and said goodbye to the last guest. My mother said she hadn't eaten all day, so she asked me to bring her hot rice. When I arrived at her house, Lu like Yen was kneeling straight in front of her portrait, her skinny back frozen. I gently walked over to call her, but before I could open my mouth, I swallowed it back. Lu like Yen, tears in her eyes, still trying to smile at me, "Kohan, I don't have any relatives anymore. I'm an orphan again." My heart hurts like sand, knowing that anything I say now is useless. I put down the lunchbox and knelt down next to her. "Grandma, my mother and I will take care of Lu like Yen. Don't worry, we won't let him suffer from hunger and cold." Lu Nuyen turned her head to look at me, her lips moved, tears falling again. I smiled at her. "You should eat quickly. If you get sick, she will blame me for not taking good care of you." Before I could finish my sentence, Lu Yen rushed into my arms, sobbing, "Kohan, thank you." The girl's appearance gradually becomes stronger. I gently hugged her and comforted her. "Lu like Yen, you are not an orphan, I will always be with you." The person in my arms trembled slightly, his voice hoarse. "Yes, we will never be apart. Maybe we've been together for a long time." Lu Nuyen joked, "Our contact is becoming less and less, mainly because I don't have time." Lu like Yen is like a peacock with its tail spread out, sending a photo of her exercising every day, drops of sweat rolling down her slim waist. Because the skin is white, the joints are slightly pink, looking very eye-catching. But I still bluntly commented, "It's not enough, I still need to practice more." She immediately sent back a crying kitten sticker. A week later, she asked me, "I checked in 3 days ago, can I delete that person's number?" I deliberately teased her, "Why are you so impatient?" She didn't object, and I didn't want to hide it from her anymore. I haven't been in contact with my sister for a long time, and there's nothing between me and her. She happily sent several rotating kitten stickers. Lu Nuyen asked, "So can you start liking me yet?" "Leave it later until the company checks in for 3 months. Lu like Yen suddenly came to my school, from her city to my school. It took more than 5 hours by speedboat, but Lu Laikyan calmly said, "I missed you so much, so I came by to visit." "Surely it's convenient?" "Yes, I also want you to check the training results." "Looking at the photos, I'm still not sure." "I want you to try it yourself." "Lu Laikyan, don't overdo it, the main thing is to miss you." As usual, she went out to eat and drink with me, and she listened to everything I said. At night, I took her back to the hotel, swiped her room card, and was about to leave when Lu Nuyen suddenly grabbed my hand. "Kohan, you haven't checked yet?" She looked like she was waiting to be complimented. How could I refuse? I leaned against the door, watching her confidently. "So how could that be?" "Stop it." Lu Laikyan took off her coat. Her hair was a bit messy, her chest was heaving. She asked worriedly, "Kohan, can you try touching it?" She pulled my hand and placed it on her waist. Warm feeling, smooth, firm skin. But I still remained stubborn. "It's okay." Lu Nuyen looked at me with an innocent expression. "What's wrong? Isn't my waist clear enough?" "I know. I've been focusing on practicing my legs lately." My eyes followed her words, gradually moving down, stopping on her long, white legs. I quickly turned away and covered my mouth. "Okay, stop talking." Lu Yan's exposed half of her face trembled slightly. The sparkling eyes blinked again, making my heart flutter. Since when did she become so attractive? She approached me. "I tried my best to become the person you like. Can I ask for a reward?" "What reward?" Lu Nuyen stood on tiptoe and came closer to me. "I want to kiss you." I was stunned, forgetting to refuse. The next second, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me on the lips. Her breath mingled with mine. The kiss made my mind dizzy. She stepped back a bit, leaned against my chest, panting, "Kohan, you said you would reward me. Can I kiss you a little more?" The scent on her body is very familiar, but Lu Laikyan is so seductive tonight. I closed my eyes and held the back of her neck. At first it was just a gentle kiss, but gradually both of them lost control and their emotions rose. She suddenly pushed me away, covered her nose, and whispered, "Kohan, wait." Before I could recover, I saw blood flowing from between her fingers. I was also dumbfounded, quickly took a few tissues from the bedside table, and pressed them to her nose. "What's wrong with you?" Lu Yan's face turned red and she looked at me shyly. "Maybe I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you a little. You haven't done anything yet and your nose is bleeding so much." I suddenly fell silent. The tissue in my hand was quickly soaked in blood. Lu Yan's hoarse voice was almost about to cry, "Kohan, stop talking, I can't stand it." I was stunned for a moment, seeing her red ears. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. This girl is so naive. Being with Lu Laikyan doesn't seem as awkward as I imagined. The two are so familiar that even arguing is difficult. When we meet once a week, I deliberately cause trouble. "Give me your phone, let me see if you exercise seriously." Lu Nuyen obediently handed over the phone. I checked my exercise diary. Every day I checked in, very good. She suddenly approached, "Kohan, am I very good?" I calmly locked the phone screen and gave it back to her. "Yes, so can Kohan give me a reward?" Since that nosebleed, I no longer dared to let Lu Laikyan kiss too forcefully. She noticed my caution, smiled and kissed my cheek. "I want to travel with you. Don't you really want to see Tuet Son?" I did tell her that I wanted to go to Nak Long Tuet Son to see the romantic scenery of heaven and earth merging into one, but sometimes there wasn't enough time, sometimes there wasn't enough money, there was always a reason to delay. Lu Nuyen sat up straight. "So this time our group's project is awarded 100,000 yuan, let's go play." Seeing that I didn't say anything, she thought I didn't want to go. "Kohan, besides the spring and fall trips organized by the school, we've never gone out alone. This is absolutely true. When I was little, my mother was busy, so she often sent me to Mrs. Liu's house to play. She treated us like treasures and did not let us leave the apartment complex. It wasn't until we went to school that we had the opportunity to go out and play. Hearing her say that, I was a little moved. Book a plane ticket, noon or evening flight, direct to Lijiang. When it was time to book a room, Lu Nuyen looked at me. Kohan, book 2 rooms, 1 room is more economical. Lu Nuyen coughed slightly, but then she said, book a room, you won't do anything to me, right? I looked at her red face and laughed. With your health, what if you get a nosebleed? Liu's face turned hot like Yen's. Last time it was an accident. My health is very good. If you don't believe it, try it. As soon as they finished speaking, they both froze and looked at each other. Seeing that the other person's face is red, what nonsense are you talking about? She said in a low voice, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Ancient hotel, wooden bed next to the window. Looking up you can see the stars, but when you turn around and see Lu like Yen, the atmosphere suddenly becomes awkward. You pack your things first. Lu Nuyen turned around to pack her luggage. How about you shower first? I was not polite, took the towel and went into the bathroom. When I got out, I realized that the conversation just now was very strange. It's not like we've never slept in the same bed before. That night, perhaps because of the unfamiliar environment, perhaps because of Lu like Yen's words, I couldn't sleep. After I turned over and lay on my back, Lu Nuyen also turned around. Kohan, you can't talk, I'm really scared. She responded with a warm voice and then quietly reached out to hold my hand, just like in elementary school, the first time the school organized a field trip. I was so happy that I couldn't sleep. She prepared sausages, fruit jelly and instant noodles for me, 2 portions of each, and I gave them all to him to eat. I smiled. That's because my mother didn't let me have snacks when I was little. I don't understand why Lu and Yen get snacks, but I don't. My mother always said that if I eat snacks, I won't eat rice. Lu like Yen is not a picky eater. Grandma bought her snacks and she didn't have an appetite. Sometimes I was so angry that I said my mother was biased and liked Lu and Yen more than me. She was so angry that she forced me to face the wall, but still didn't have the heart to hit me. When I think about my childhood, my mood is much more comfortable. Liu's voice like Yen's voice in the night became even more seductive. Kohan, do you remember, you like mango jelly the most? Of course I remember. Lu Nuyen stammered. Kohan, the toothpaste I used today is mango flavor. I suddenly turned around to look at her, only to see Lu like Yen looking at me with passionate eyes. The white earlobes gradually turned red. She moved closer, her breath mingling. I heard my heart pounding in my chest as her warm kiss touched my lips. I immediately grabbed her face. No, I have to get up early tomorrow. The atmosphere is so good now, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself after kissing. Lu like Yen froze, the corners of her eyes gradually curved up. She was holding back laughter. What are you laughing at? Lu like Yen didn't shy away, smiling happily. Kohan, I just want to kiss you. You've already thought about this and that. Auntie doesn't know we love each other yet. I turned around, turned my back to her, buried my face in the blanket. Lu Nuyen, go to sleep. How can I admit that the person who is afraid of losing control is me? The next morning, Lu like Yen called me up. After she finished cleaning herself, she went out. By the time I finished preparing, she had already bought breakfast. This trip was a sudden decision, even the schedule had to be planned at the same time. The first stop is the Green Page Valley. I'm worried that if I climb the mountain first. The next day, I could only lie down in the hotel and couldn't go anywhere else. Yunnan, everywhere is beautiful. As soon as I arrived I felt my soul relax. Early in the spring morning in Yunnan, the temperature is very low, you can still breathe when talking. Lu Laikyan was wearing a backpack, one hand naturally held my hand, 10 fingers intertwined. We took the bus to Blue Moon Valley. The sun was just rising, the sunlight covered the water surface, ripples rippled. Lu Nuyen exclaimed, "So beautiful." I followed Lu Laikyan, smiling softly, "Yes, it's beautiful." At the next attraction, I asked her to send me a photo. At this point, I discovered that she was busy taking pictures of landscapes, and I was busy taking pictures of her. Along the way, we bought a lot of food and drinks. The parts of willow and yen that couldn't be eaten all were given to me. I couldn't help but be curious. You eat so little and still maintain your figure? Speaking of which, I've only seen her gym photos, but have never watched her workout videos. Can't help but be a little curious. But soon, Lu Laikyan satisfied my curiosity. At this time, she was doing sit-ups, her cleavage was hidden, her figure was curvy. Standard posture, plus available white skin. After light exercise, white and rosy skin becomes even more radiant. Truly a satisfying sight. It's just that Lu and Yen don't make strange sounds anymore. She obediently stood up, walked towards me and asked, "So, shall I take a bath?" Lu and Yen's voice is so seductive that it makes my heart flutter. That whole night, I stayed away from her. Lu Laikyan felt sorry for herself and timidly, "Or should I rent another room before I accept? I'm the official daughter-in-law, I won't exceed the limit." I couldn't help it, my mouth was small, "Be quiet." In the end, Lu Laikyan also remained silent. But not long after, she whispered again, "Actually, whatever you want, you can come." I pretended not to hear and went to sleep. Today, I planned to climb a snow mountain, but God did not please me. At midnight, the rain began to fall, non-stop. I frowned. What should I do? I can't see the sunrise on the snowy mountain top. Lu Nuyen consoled, "Since it's here, just go and see." We stood in the rain, standing at the foot of the mountain, in thick fog, completely unable to see the shape of the mountain. Lu and Yen were still happy and pulled me to take a photo with them. In the photo, I'm wearing a raincoat, frowning, looking unhappy. Lu Nuyen, "You did it on purpose, right?" She smiled brightly, took my arm, okay, let's take a picture." When the countdown ended, Lu Nuyen suddenly came forward and kissed me. "Kohan, I like you." The lens captured my surprised expression. Lu Nuyen smiled and posted the photo on social networks. "You have to post it to your friend's circle, so your mother can see it. She will definitely ask all sorts of questions." Lu Nuyen grinned. "No, I have to let everyone see my beloved husband." As soon as she finished speaking, my mother transferred, "Very good, my daughter-in-law, so beautiful. Being together is a perfect match. I see that you two are happy and I'm satisfied. Open your friend's circle and see Lu Laikyan's post, accompanying the person you love, watching the mountains, watching the water, watching the rain, watching the fog. Everywhere is filled with happiness." The first person to like was my mother. She also commented, "Wishing you two forever happiness." I hugged Lu as tightly as Yen. "You can't run away now, my mother has locked us down." Lu Nuyen giggled, "I have no intention of leaving you." Having finished speaking, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me at the foot of the snowy mountain, drizzling lightly. The day before, we promised to be together forever. That promise is considered to have been confirmed and locked.